Hi, and welcome to another Red Hat video. My name is Matt Takani, and I'm an Agile coach with the Open Innovation Labs.
And I'm Ann Dalton. I'm a consultant with the North America Public Sector. So Matt, I'm an experienced project manager, and I'm trying to find a simple, concise way to explain to our customers how we go through our delivery process for our software delivery. Do you have anything that can help me out?
Actually, I do. About a year ago, my coworker Tim Beattie introduced me to the Mobius loop, and I found it a phenomenal way to describe my projects, any project in my past, and quite frankly, any project inside of my future. So how about we take a trip along both these loops?
That sounds great, Matt. So I see that we have two loops, and the first one over here is discovery. So what are we trying to do with this discovery loop?
Well, with the discovery loop, this is where you look to define who you are building your product for, why you're looking to try and build it, and what target outcomes you're looking to try and achieve, right? Those high-level scope.
Okay, so I think I'm starting to understand. So in this discovery loop, this is where we'd go through events like impact mapping, where we redefine our scope, or priority sliders, where we're trying to decide what the most important features are for this. Even event storming, when we're trying to flesh out a new app. Or value slicing, determining what's the most important criteria, what do we have to have in order to be successful this sprint.
Exactly. So when you finish and you define what that first slice of value that you're trying to do, you move into the options pivot piece. This is where you take that first set and you say which ones of those items are the most important. What is that prioritization? And you can run any sort of prioritization practice, which would include something like backlog refinement.
Okay, this is great. So I'm understanding that we use this discovery loop to indicate what's important and kind of define a process for how we want to implement an app. And this option pivot is a great place for our customers to have more insight into this process and actually make some decisions. So how do we get from this discovery to delivery?
So once you complete that options pivot piece, you go into the delivery aspects. This is where you take that first iteration and actually implement the items that you have from the backlog refinement, that prioritized backlog, and move forward.
So am I understanding correctly when I think that delivery loop is kind of the equivalent of a Scrum sprint, or maybe even a Kanban implementation of a new feature? And also you could use waterfall with this. I'm not sure why you would. It's 2018, so come on.
Exactly.
So this is also where we'd see activities like sprint planning.
Yes.
And maybe our daily stand-ups. Our retrospectives. And our showcase.
Exactly.
These are things I do with my team all the time.
Awesome. So one of the aspects that you do is once you finish delivery loop, you need to ask yourself, did I achieve my target outcomes? And if you achieved your target outcome or disproved one of your target outcomes, you want to move back into your discovery loop, right? Because you would want to redefine what that target outcome is, or you want to find what the next target outcome is. But what happens if none of those things are true? Well, you can take this kickback and just go straight back into your delivery loop and implement the next valuable feature or deliver that next sprint.
I think that's really great. So now you've taught us how we can go from discovery into delivery, and you don't have to be stuck in delivery. You can always go back into discovery, but it's okay if you need to take another iteration around this delivery loop. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that this foundation piece is just what supports the ability for us to be able to move between these two loops.
That is exactly right. The foundation is where you find cultural and collaboration practices and other technical practices that allow you to effectively and efficiently navigate around both sets of loops. This is where you can do things like team sentiment. This is that psychological safety of the team, or pairing and mobbing practice in order to understand when you want to pair or when you need to mob in order to accelerate learning. And definition of done, which is incredibly important when you're doing an agile project. And on the technical side, you have things like CI/CD, right? Continuous integration and continuous deployment delivery.
Matt, this is really great. So did you also mention something about this being open source?
It is. You can look to get a GitHub account and then contribute any new practice or edit any existing practice on the Open Practice Library.
So how can we find this? How can we contribute?
Well, it's at openpracticelibrary.com, or as I mentioned before, on GitHub, github.com/openpracticelibrary. Or you could look to go to your account executive or go to redhat.com and search for Open Innovation Labs.